Welcome back to React Native Radio Podcast. Brought to you by Vim. Once you start using Vim, you'll find it next to impossible to quit. Episode 332, Codemagic.
Hello and welcome back to the React Native Radio Podcast. I'm Robin. This is Mazen. We don't have Jamin this week, sadly, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure he's having more fun somewhere else. We also have a wonderful guest with us, Martin Remmelgas. He's going to talk to us about Codemagic. Martin, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, Robin. My name's Martin. I'm CEO at Codemagic.
And where are you joining us from?
I'm in Estonia. It's a small country near Finland.
Before we started the show, you were saying that there's a famous quote from Hemingway about Estonia.
Yes, you said that you haven't met an Estonian before, and Mazen said that we have a nomad culture. Hemingway actually used to write that there is an Estonian in every port in the world. So there's one of us somewhere.
You guys are all over, everywhere except Estonia, right? Well, we're so happy you're here, and I can't wait to talk about Codemagic. But before we do, I need to mention our sponsor.
Hey, friends. It's Jed. Most of you know me as the assistant editor / announcer guy for React Native Radio. But today, I'm coming to you as director of operations. That's my day job here at Infinite Red. We're dropping a quick message to all of our listeners to say, we're hiring. Now, I get to work with some amazing developers here. But the problem right now is Jamin keeps sending me projects and I'm running out of developers to put on them. I've tried cloning Mazen. That didn't work out well, so now we're here. Infinite Red is looking for senior React Native developers in the US. And if that's you, take advantage of this rare opportunity and head over to careers.infinite.red to apply. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
All right, let's talk about Codemagic and React Native. So first of all, I want you to just tell me a little bit about your background, how you came to be CEO at Codemagic. Just how'd you get here?
I'm actually a chemist that got lost on the way and ended up in this IT sphere. And I can tell you, it's a lot more fun to build things in IT than it is in chemistry. You don't get stack traces in the lab.
My wife is a chemist by trade. I get it.
Yeah, my husband is a chemical engineer, and my mom is a biochemist, and my dad was a physicist. So, yes, very familiar with the trials of working in a lab.
Yes. In the final years of my studies, and I was working a little bit as an organic chemist in Singapore, I decided to switch careers and dabble in this IT world. I had this startup idea I tried out, which failed, but the friends I made along the way invited me to join Nevercode or Codemagic today, and I loved it. So I'm still here.
It's amazing how often you hear that, how you someone caught the bug, so to speak, of coding.
It's like that saying that people have, it's the friends that you make along the way, but you not only made friends along the way, you made a company at the same time.
Important, I'm not the founder of the business. So I joined in 2018. Founders left in 2019, so I kind of took over then. But I love this foster child, so...
So it was somewhat inherited.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so Codemagic, you said it was formerly called...
Nevercode?
Nevercode. How did that name change? Is there a story behind the name change?
Originally, actually, the company was founded in 2015. And back then it was called Greenhouse. but then it got a trademark or a copyright law claim, and they had to change the name to Nevercode. Codemagic is a new name because Nevercode was a product name as well. Previously, the company had a product called Nevercode.io, and then in 2018, it was a chance for us to have a renaissance, to have do the product all over again and fix some of the issues that we learned along the way. And since then, we've been operating with this new brand called Codemagic.
So it seems like you've gone through an evolution of names and products. What would you, if we were to say, what's your elevator pitch for Codemagic today, 2025?
We are a CI/CD that's designed for mobile development teams. We have a really good developer experience that makes some of the most challenging parts of mobile development easier. So code signing, versioning, publishing, release notes, and all that small things that can become annoyances.
Having done all those things manually at one point or another,
Yes.
I can understand why there was a business opportunity here. So obviously our audience is React Native developers, and you can just from looking at the documentation, you can see that you guys support all sorts of platforms besides React Native. But for a React Native app, can you just walk us through how a React Native developer would typically use Codemagic, from pull request to app store? Where is Codemagic slotting in?
Codemagic is, you can think of as a competitor for GitHub Actions, for example. So it's almost like for like, but there are specific things that we do better. And in particular, those include code signing, versioning, publishing, so all the annoying things. How can a React Native developer use Codemagic? It's similar to using infrastructure as code. So you'll need to know a little bit about how YAML files work, for example. Mm-hmm. So a typical React Native developer would use Codemagic to set up build triggers. So let's say you're using some Git version control system. So every time you're running a pull request, you may want to check that that pull request, for example, passes tests, so that your reviewers can know that this have some automation checks, so they don't have to ask you to whether the tests are passing. Once those tests are passing and you're ready to merge your code changes, then you can also run automatic builds on push events to master branch or to development branch. And Codemagic, you can also automate releases to your testers or publishing to the stores, so they'll get the signed artifact that they can test.
And then do you automate the actual store, the production store release too, with release notes and
that one as well?
I want to just ask a quick follow-up question. You mentioned earlier that Codemagic will help you handle versioning. How so?
So I have probably seen all kinds of versioning. As many teams as there are is their opinion on how you should version your application.
Semver is just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to React Native developers who work in React Native, and we get the question daily, multiple times, of when is React Native
when
going?
When is 1.0?
1.0.
It's not.
So
never.
Versioning is a complicated topic, but yes, how it sounds like you support all aspects of it.
Yeah. When I talk about versioning, I try to leave out this part where you think version names. So whether you have version 1.0, but when I say versioning, I mean not getting blocked when you're pushing something to the store. So in addition to the version name, you'll need to have a version number or a version code, which always has to be greater than the previous one. And in there, a lot of teams want, for example, their versions in Play Store and App Store to be in sync, for example, or they want their version to increment by 1, not by 5 or 10 or some random number every time they push a new version. So in Codemagic, we've built our open source tools, and we try to support the community. That helps you to interact with, for example, some Play Store APIs or App Store APIs. And you can use that to version your app. So you can, for example, check what's the latest version that's available in production and then increment it by one. Or you can check like what's the version number for the latest test flight track, for example. So this way, that's like one way to do it. Obviously, it's a little bit complicated. It requires you to build some kind of logic to it. So if you want to do it a little bit easier way, we also have some examples on indexing it by build numbers. So you can get like an environment variable, which is a CI run number. So you can always be sure that the next run will be greater than the previous run. And then you can use that as your version number.
Right. You're basically like outsourcing the management of the version number so that it's not just like, it's basically not managed by the code base itself. It's managed by something external so that it can always be consistent.
Yeah, and that's really what we mean by these version inconsistencies. You'll be surprised how often you'll get support requests saying like, why is my app being rejected? Because I forgot to increment the version by one. So it'll be useful to have something.
The number of times where I back when I was using like Fastlane, like just like Fastlane by itself, I would like, we would be like 4:00 on a Friday afternoon. I'd be like,
on a Friday, Robin?
Like, kicking, yes, Mazen, yes. I do it. Kick off a new iOS build and then like go like leave and then come back and it's like it rejected it because the build number wasn't incremented. So many times. Yeah, you said it's basically supposed to be a competitor for GitHub Actions. And one of like the nice things about GitHub Actions is like they have this like plugin community and system where you can just like import an action that somebody else wrote that does a specific thing for your whatever like service you're using or like your specific need that somebody else wrote. Is there anything like similar to that in Codemagic?
Yeah, I've checked some of these actions out as well. There's like two schools of thought here. Maybe you remember this story of LeftPad when half the internet broke because they're using a plugin for padding.
I do remember that.
I think there's a time and a place for everything. If your plugin, the only thing it does is installs the CLI tools and configure its path, then maybe it doesn't deserve its own plugin for it. That's just my opinion. We try to instead focus on documentation so that you have an ample selection of different tips how people are using CI. Many different third-party providers, Browser Stack, there's different emulator providers, Firebase services, Expose services, for example. We have a lot of documentation how you can use all of these. We do not believe that these deserve its own special plugin that requires maintenance. Yeah, give the responsibility to the person who's setting up the pipelines.
I definitely understand that. I think I was just talking to someone the other day about how I much prefer when I have the code in my own hands and I'm not waiting for someone else to
Our name is Codemagic, which can be a little bit misleading. There's no magic involved. It just feels like magic.
It feels like magic.
Yeah, for developers who can find this very like daunting or annoying to do every single time, and even though you have it documented every single time you run into a different roadblock, I think naming it Codemagic is you hit the nail on the head. Perfect, in my opinion. One question we had was kind of like related to code signing specifically. Does Codemagic offer any automated solutions for provisioning your profiles and all that? I mean, this is iOS specific question, right? Because this is where a lot of the pain points are with iOS profiling.
Ask anybody, and this is the worst part about native development. Certificates and profiles.
Maybe you guys remember how Fastlane used to do it back in the day. We actually built our first version of code signing in a similar way as they did, and we went through the exact same pains. I think it was, 2017 or something.
So you're talking about Fastlane, because I remember when I used Fastlane, we were using Match.
Yeah, so Fastlane Match, again, it used undocumented Apple's APIs. So we had to reverse engineer that.
I didn't realize they were undocumented. That's cheeky.
Yeah, so and then Apple at some point introduced two-factor authentication, where at a random time during a 30-day period you'll have to re-authenticate your token so that you can use the signing file.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So
my point still stands. Every time you do a release, something new comes up. It's like, yep, here we go again.
That's where we came from. And where we are now. Luckily, I think it was 19 maybe more recently. Apple introduced it was 19, and then they released some updates recently. This new App Store Connect API. And with this new App Store Connect API, it made things a hell of a lot easier. And how code signing works in Codemagic today. First of all, if you're not using Codemagic and you're using just our CLI tools, for example, so that'll allow you to have similar functionality as with Fastlane. So you can fetch existing signing files, you can create new signing files, everything what you would expect. You can provision new devices, you can add new testers, etc. That's all fine and good. If you are using Codemagic, then what I really like is, let's say you have a team and you're importing an existing application. You don't have to download all of these provisioning profiles and signing files from App Store Connect, but you can use our App Store Connect API, this wrapper that we built in the GUI, to actually fetch these signing files for your project.
Oh, okay. So you can use the GUI for that. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's just a click of a button, and then it'll fetch it. And then when those become outdated, you can renew them as well. That's for existing application. Or similarly, like if you have new testers joining your team, you can provision new test devices that will get added to your provisioning profiles.
All through the UI.
Yeah, so the tester will receive a QR code. If you remember, BuddyBuild used to have something similar.
Yeah.
Where so that's all available. And if you don't want to use that kind of stuff, and what's cool is now that I think it was last year, Apple released the provisioning API for enterprise accounts as well. Previously, the enterprise store was unique, so it was not available, but it's available there as well. And now some people still prefer to use the old method. If they want, they can continue using that. If you upload your or point to some private repository where or private storage where your signing files are hosted, you can do that as well.
It always felt very wrong to me to be putting all of my credentials in a GitHub repository.
Probably not the best idea.
I was like, this feels like an anti-pattern, but I think some people still use the old school way. I think there's still people that just manage it completely in App Store Connect and download the profiles and put them where they need to be. But yeah, that's definitely one of the hardest parts about CI/CD with React Native app, with native apps, period. But yeah, with React Native apps is dealing with signing and stuff.
I'm hearing a lot of, we give you the easy option where we do, the magic for you, or we give you the option to configure it and you do the magic yourself if you want to on our platform. And that's, I think, very helpful, where you might get some, for us specifically, speaking from experience, we'll get some clients that will be like, hey, I want to be able to run the command with no prompt, not passing nothing into my prompt. Just let's just say your CI is Codemagic. So Codemagic build, that's it. They don't want to pass in any flags or anything. And then we get some clients that are like, no. I want to customize my path, my name, the X, Y, Z. I want to handle my versioning. So to me, it sounds like you give both sides of the coin. And that's very helpful because you're able to capture a larger clientele.
It's good that you actually talk about it. We have to pick our battles. We can't do it for everything. We have to choose where we provide clients all of this GUI option as well as the scripting option. Realistically, we can't imagine supporting React Native, Flutter, Native, Ionic, Unity, all these different platforms, and we only have a team of 9 developers who's building this stuff. Imagine building a giant UI to support all of this. It's not possible. So we have to pick our battles very carefully. where are the areas where we want to be experts in, where we want to give clients all the control, and where are areas where we have to introduce command line utilities that are applicable everywhere. So we have carefully picked our battles. Like, we want to be great at iOS code signing. Doesn't matter if you're a React Native developer, native iOS developer, everybody will have to deal with it. Like,
I totally hear you on that. Picking and choosing your battles are great. And did I hear you right when you were explaining that it almost sounds like you have two paths? You have the CI path and a Codemagic path. Is that correct? Are they two separate products, or is it one is just your GUI, the other one is your command line?
Codemagic uses CLI tools under the hood for a lot of these actions. And these CLI tools are open sourced. You can use Codemagic CLI tools with any CI/CD provider, including your local environment.
But then you also have the CI product that's like, you have the runners and like you're acting as a CI provider using your own tools, but like there is kind of like two halves to the product.
Yeah. Okay. So we're coming back to the initial point that I made, that you give everyone the ability, you give both all spectrums of capacity. You want to just run the bare command via a GUI, or do you want to customize it yourself and plug and play with something else?
Yeah, just to be clear, React Native developers cannot configure their pipelines with a GUI. They'll have to configure it with the infrastructure as code, so using these YAML files. So that's similar to other CI providers in the market as well.
Your documentation also talks about testing. It's not every CI provider works really well with testing. I mean, like, just tests are one thing, like that, just like a Yarn script, that's fine. But like when you get into integration testing, where you're having to like boot up a simulator, an emulator, or like talk to a device farm or something, that gets like, those are really hard problems to solve with CI. How are you guys approaching that? Are you partnered with any particular like integration test frameworks? Yeah, what kind of options do people have using Codemagic?
I love that you're asking this question. And this, I think, is a great example of how mobile-specific CI is different to a generic CI. We both offer the same machines, and in reality, you can achieve the same on any CI provider as you can with Codemagic. We don't do anything special here.
Right. You're writing on like Mac machines,
exactly.
Linux machines.
The same instrumentation tests as you would have ability to run on Codemagic. You can run those same tests, actually not even the same test, the same script on any other CI provider. Difference is we have it documented. And you can find it, and there are examples for it. And if you get stuck, there's a person you can ask for help. So there's nothing special we do. We just have a lot of questions from customers how they can achieve something like that, and we've documented it very well. And you'll be surprised how far you can get with that.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, a CI service is just a remote machine.
Exactly.
Has a specific subset of software installed, and you're telling it what to do.
We are just the grease monkeys of the IT world. Like,
right. The difference is going to come in the tooling that you offer, and like you said, how well you've explained how to do particular things using your service, and like.
It's not about the weapon; it's how you use it. So it's like how we've documented it, how we've. You can have the best machine in the world, but if you don't know how to write bash scripts, or you don't have good examples to go by, it's useless. Sometimes documentation is worth more than having all these fancy integrations.
Absolutely. I want to address, there's a little bit of an elephant in the room with our listeners specifically, because we talk about EAS a lot on this show, because like a lot of our listeners are Expo users. Like you support a lot of other mobile frameworks like Flutter, Ionic, native iOS and Android. Like what specifically is the selling point of Codemagic compared to a tool like EAS, which is built for React Native specifically? Are there advantages to using a more sort of broad-based tool?
I was reading some customer stories why people are switching to Codemagic, because in our docs as well, we describe how to use Codemagic when you have an Expo project. So how to build it with Expo. the biggest reason is because a lot of companies don't just build React Native apps. They build other apps as well. So if they have native apps, or they have Flutter apps, or they have Unity apps, for example, or that's one thing what they value is that they can they don't
it's
have
all
to
on the same service. You don't have to learn it twice, basically.
so one team doesn't, so you don't have this silos forming of knowledge.
Totally.
Second reason is that some people in DevOps space prefer to use standard configuration files, for example. So we have standard YAML configurations, which is familiar to anyone that's configured CI pipelines in the past. So this is relatively familiar territory.
EAS is very bespoke. It's very it has its own language.
Yeah. And then another thing, I don't know exactly, but another thing I'm hearing from some of our customers is that they're using EAS build and submissions to submit apps to the store. They're not necessarily using it for CI. And sometimes the costs can get out of hand. So one advantage to using Codemagic is we offer fixed costs as well. If you're looking to get unlimited usage for a fixed cost in a year.
Yeah, EAS is incredibly flexible, and you can use it as a build tool. We use EAS with a local flag on another a different CI. So it's not running on EAS servers; it's running on CI servers, but using the EAS build command. So it's a pretty flexible tool, and it sounds like you could probably actually use EAS CLI commands with Codemagic.
Yeah, you can, absolutely. Yeah, you can run any
because, like you said,
line.
It's at the end of the day, you're running on it's a computer in the cloud.
Yeah, what is really cool, I want to plug this in. We have two new products. One is this code push product. So after Microsoft sunset their product, we offer this. And we also have simulator previews. So that means that once you get your app builds, you can preview them in an iOS or Android simulator.
Oh, that's really cool.
You heard it first here.
You heard it first, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, having that code push alternative, that's great. Because I know a lot of people that are probably not in the Expo world or the Expo ecosystem and don't want to go that full adoption route. So they're like, hey, we're going to stick with code push. And, I've heard some people say that they're actually going to stand their own code push servers and maintain it themselves to be able to, because they open sourced it essentially. So it's great to hear that you all are offering that product. At the same time, one thing I heard you say that I think will help a lot from my personal experience is the fixed rate cost. I know a lot of people will look at Expo and all the other projects out there and be like, hold on, times I want 10 million users. Oh no, I can't afford this kind of thing. Right? So fixed rate cost is great.
Yeah, equally having competition in a domain is always good for the end user. It will drive prices down, and it will force competitors to
Right, it forces them to optimize and to really be at their best.
Yeah.
And I like having a diverse library of tools to use, because every app is different. It's going to have different needs. Every company is different. It's going to have different needs. It's nice to have options.
And who knows? Maybe Expo will listen to this, and maybe they'll start offering fixed prices as well.
Did you hear that?
There you go. I had a question. Are you all, I think in today's world, everyone's kind of asking this question. Are you all leveraging AI in any way?
We tried. It's horrible.
Okay.
Not only does it give you the wrong answer, it leads you down a wrong path.
Okay.
Granted, this was about 2 years ago when we tried it, I think. But so far, I haven't found a good use for AI. I had ideas what I wanted to try, and I saw that people were interested in using it. But what I was expecting is if AI can explain error messages to people. So let's say...
And you found that it didn't do a good job of that?
Not only did it not do a good job, it was leading people down the wrong path.
Right.
So it's like, imagine someone tells you go look over there, and then you come back empty-handed, and it's I could have just read the docs in the first place. But so I haven't seen good uses, but granted, we haven't tested it much recently either. I saw some of our competitors try out something with MCP servers, so trying to talk with in human language with our API services. But honestly, the only customers that I've seen use our API is white label app customers or no code like app providers.
Right.
So they'll sometimes query like build statuses for their end users, or maybe they'll just start new builds or something like this. And I'm yet to discover a good use case for AI.
Personally,
I'm one of those people that is annoyed at like seeing AI in everything. You see the little stars and you're like, oh, that's really neat. AI did it.
I think it's today's world that we're in, where if you have the label AI on your website, in your product, people are like, ooh, yes, where do I sign up? Kind of thing. It's a new
Are you like
car.
that? Are you like that though?
Do
you sign up?
Personally, no. I think kind of like Robin.
Are you part of the problem?
No, I am not.
I am not either. I'm yet to find these people.
It did take me a very long time to adopt using Cursor like heavily with the whole AI feature of Cursor. And I don't know. There are people out there that do that. I'm just saying. I feel like I can see the sales part of things where something that has an AI label sells well.
Yeah, it's worth to try. I think. Are you using it in work projects as well, or is it primarily for you to try things out?
So for me personally, right now, the project that I'm on has a strict AI policy, so we're not using AI on the client project.
Yeah.
But I do use it personal projects, Infinite Red related work. I think
if our clients allow it, we utilize things like Copilot. We have one client that's allowing the devs to use Cursor, so we use it where we can, but it's always like tempered with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I guess our devs are a little bit not wanting to swim yet. Water's too cold for them, I guess.
Yeah. I think we're getting very close towards the end of the episode, but I wanted to ask you one last question. I think we tend to ask at the ends of the episodes, but what sucks about Codemagic? What would you like to see improve about Codemagic?
Good question.
We always like to surprise people with this one at the end. It's always fun to hear the answers because it's like it's always interesting to see what you as the person who knows your product the best. You're like, yeah, we know it has like we know it has a couple thorns, and I'm always curious to know what people say.
I think it's hard to answer it. I'll need to think about it a little bit. I know what we're building, what we're trying to do, but more generally, I think. CI/CD today, it's becoming commoditized. So there isn't much difference to which provider you're going to choose today. So it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to stand out and somehow make the argument that why we are good. This is why we're building this code push feature, or why we're making this simulator previews available. Okay, I thought about it. Why Codemagic is not the best? We are working on this actively, but I think we can still do a lot better job in making our UI more responsive. So we've already spent the last year dealing with the tech debt and making this more responsive. Like it usually crashes it used to crash a lot when you have a lot of teams or when you have a lot of builds that you're trying to display to the user, and then the front end is perhaps not as responsive as we would like. So I think that's the one pet peeve I have, I guess. I don't always
as far as thorns go, that's not too bad. Well, awesome. We are unfortunately out of time, but it was really great hearing about Codemagic and getting to hear your story. Chemists out there, there's still time to switch careers and be a CEO
of a tech company.
At a tech company. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thanks to our editor, Todd Worth, our assistant editor, Jed Bartosky, our marketing and episode release coordinator, Justin Husky, and our guest coordinator, Mazen Chami. Our producers and hosts are Jamin Holmgren, Robin Hines, and Mazen Chami. Thanks to our sponsor, Infinite Red. Check us out at infinite.red/radio. A special thanks to all of you listening today. Make sure to subscribe to React Native Radio on all the major podcasting platforms.